Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at the next promo character coming to the game, and it is going to be S-Class the Trader. This character is going to be on the promo wheel, and for some reason they are going to be releasing him a little bit earlier this week compared to their normal weekly releases. But we'll take a first look at his visuals, and he looks kind of boss. He reminds me of like Mr. T from the A-Team a little bit with all the gold necklaces and stuff. He has got, I'm not sure what sort of jacket this would be classified as. It's just a kind of like just a rain jacket, I guess. Maybe a windbreaker. And then he's got a prosthetic leg by the looks of things. I think he's the first character in the game that has a proper prosthetic. I think that the ones we've seen before, like Heath, have literally just had like wooden legs, and I guess that would be kind of the norm in the post-apocalypse, would be like the wooden legs and stuff, but it is going to be a prosthetic leg for the trader here. Now we'll check out his stats, and it just straight up, his stats are ridiculous. You know, 1052 attack, 1052 attack. He is so tanky, so unbelievably tanky. And there are some characters that just come out that was so much imbalance on their stats. Like, you obviously had the Gentleman, same sort of situation, just massive attack. Obviously, these characters are going to take full advantage of that, but the stat balance makes such a big difference. And then you have characters that come out that don't have any, like, make any sense with their stat balance in terms of working properly. But this character obviously is going to be, you know, having 4,740 defense, 4,740 HP as well. His trait is alert, role is considered a tank, and it's like, yeah, no doubt. And then when we put the 30 veteran rings on top as well, he goes up to 1,279 attack. Don't hold him back, guys. Don't hold him back. He's ready with that attack stat. But his defense stat gets massively boosted. 5,337 base. This is without a weapon. This is without mods. This is 5,337 defense base. 5,251 HP base. This is with full veteran rings, but it's just, there's no buffs here. There's nothing. This is his base stats. It's crazy. This just means that off trait, he can be used on any team effectively. And generally speaking, that's a really risky thing to do on a character, for a defense team character, where this guy could potentially be used on just because of his stats. He has to be well balanced within the rest of his kit. Otherwise, you get your sort of payback Negans in the 6-star era situation where Negan was just used on every team. I even remember seeing Negan just used without a leader. Like, people just used 2 Negans, a Dr. Stevens, and 2 Zacharys. That's what I saw as a team, because those characters are so overpowered that they didn't need a leader stat. They didn't need defense boost. They didn't need a HP boost. They were already just ridiculous, and this character's in the same vein already. We'll look at the rest of his kit, though. His adrenaline rush is called Armored Taunting. It's a 66 AP rush, so yep, it's in line with Zachary again. This character gets 50% bonus HP, 50% defense for 2 turns. While battling on the defense team, up to 3 enemies get taunt, minus 50% attack, and 100% heal reduction for 2 turns. So basically this rush is making him geared a bit more towards the defense team. They are starting to do this a little bit more. I think this is characters they want to push towards the defense team. I don't think this is that terrible. Again, same situation I think we had with Dr. Stevens. The taunt, I guess you could say, is really nice, but everyone runs taunt resist because of Princess now, so taunt is less effective than it used to be. But obviously you can taunt people into his weapon, and the 100% heal reduction means that no one can get healed at all at the moment. So, and it minus 50% attack, obviously doing less damage. But this isn't the dangerous part of the trader. This is just his rush. Very quick. It does force some things to happen. It will make him a little bit more tanky, that sort of thing. It's his active where it goes a bit absolutely bananas. Basically, it's infection and AP gain. It has an initial cooldown of 1. That means that turn 1 on an attack team or a defense team he can use this, and it has a cooldown of 0, which means every turn he can use this, not every other turn. If it was a cooldown of 1, it would wait 1 turn, then you could use it, wait 1 turn, then you could use it. Cooldown of 0 means every turn he can do this. Number of use is 10. Target enemy gets 15% infection for 2 turns. This character gains 35% AP. Now, obvious issues here. I think they've tried to gear this character more towards a defense team, but he's going to be used on an attack team because that infection is going to take down 2 characters before they get a chance to rush naturally. Unless they've got AP gain characters on the defense team as well, then that team's going to lose 2 characters. So you could let's just say you're coming up against a Pete team. You could infect Pete. He's not going to be able to heal it because you're going to have characters like Wang Fa along the side of this guy. It's going to work exactly the same as Matteo. The difference between him and Matteo is that obviously Matteo's lasted a little bit longer. Wang Fa is going to stop the heals turn 2. This guy's going to take out 2 characters. Unless a character comes along that has a first turn heal, and even then it would have to be on an active skill, and even then you can daze it. There are some things you can do around this, but you're going to have to heavily invest in the armory. You're going to have to go for the healing weapons, the bonus HP weapons for tough characters, and you have to hope it goes on to the character that has actually got infection, and you have to go for weapons on fast characters where it would be just the healing weapons. Now, I'm unsure if that would count, because let's say you don't do enough damage for actually to heal 15%, would the heal still count as a 15% heal even if it didn't go off or it didn't heal the right character? It's unsure at this moment. Bonus HP will work regardless, because obviously no one's got bonus HP at the beginning of the round, or at least not got 100%, so you should be fine as long as it goes to the right character with infection. So this is really strong, especially on an attack team. On a defense team, it might do it every other turn, so sometimes it can work like that. I think Mercer in the 6-star era had a 0 turn, and he would do his active, then do a basic attack, do his active. On an attack team, you can just do his active, do his active. So turn 3, there will be 4 people who have been taken down by infection when you're attacking. You know, like I said, Wang Fa will just stop all those heals. You're going to have to massively change up defense team, sort of resist to try and get away from this, and I don't think you really can. Heal reduction is just not really worth it. You're going to make yourself massively susceptible to other parts of the game, which is, you know, much more influential generally speaking. But that's not all the trader has. The trader has a brand new specialist skill called Resilient. This character has a 50% resistance against all status effects. This stacks with all resistances. So let's say he has a 50%, I think you can get 50% with a silver mod. Let's say he has a 50% silver stun resist, he now has 100%. If he has a 50% confuse resist, he now has 100%. He is also the only character in the game that will resist infection, because he will now be able to resist infection. No other character can resist infection, so he can basically counter himself in that way, because he can resist his own active skill. If someone uses him on an attack team and you have him on defense, he can resist it. He can also resist normalize, which would obviously stop this specialist skill from working. He's the only character in the game that could resist normalize. So he's one of the very few characters that can do a certain few things, and this just reminds me of the basically every War of Champions event where they bring out a very, very powerful character as the main sort of like character that's going to be used at event, or whoever has the most of this character is going to have a really good time of it at the War of Champions itself. And I personally don't like that. I prefer War of Champions to be an end of season thing, so you've been working all this way through the meta and then it uses the meta that you've been using the entire time. Not that it brings out a fresh batch of characters a couple of weeks before and you have to spend quick. I know that's kind of how, you know, they want to promote the game. They want you to spend money on new characters, but it just seems better to do it that way from a competitive standpoint. But that's just my perspective on War of Champions. That's why I don't really think it's like massively competitive. It's because of releases like this so close to the actual event itself. But wait, did you think it was over? No, it's not over just yet. He has got a weapon as well, and it's the Trader's Defensive Mp5. It has got 30% defense base, a medium bonus to AP when taking damage, and in the third slot, when being attacked, a great chance, which is seen as around about 50%, to cause 25% infection for 2 turns to the enemy. So it is more powerful than his active. It does only go to a single target effectively, but if he does his rush, he taunts 3 for 2 turns, and those characters, I believe, are guaranteed to be taken out. They've got 100% heal reduction, which would have to be cleansed. If he rushes into that weapon, there's not much you can do if they get infected on that first turn. They're done. If there's any sort of crosshairs on that team with the trader, they're also decapped. Very, very powerful. I would say definitely overpowered when it comes to the amount of turns that these infections are lasting. There is no infection resist right now, and obviously there will be almost like a couple of weeks after War of Champions, no doubt, or maybe even like the week before. You never know. Depends how they want to go with it. But basically, infection is ultra powerful in that there's nothing that can stop it. The only thing that can stop it, funny enough, like I said before, is the trader himself because of that resilient specialist skill. So he is obviously probably one of the more powerful S classes that have been released, but it's mainly because of the fact that he's sitting in a position where other characters have in the past. At the end of the 6-star era, we did have Negan get released, for instance, and he was sitting in a position where there was nothing to stop his payback from happening. It was unresistible, it was unblockable. You had to maybe put guardian shields everywhere, that was your only hope. You had to maybe build bleed teams to try and get through it, that was about it. Very slow to do that sort of thing. You couldn't basic attack it like you can now with, you know, these 6-star S-class characters on defense teams. You couldn't normalize it, obviously, and we will see, no doubt, some people questioning, is this the end of the S-Class era? Because we're already seeing a character come out that is so much better than the rest and nothing can resist what he does. I hope not. I hope we're not going to be seeing 8 stars next, because this is the sort of thing that would most likely come after S-Class, would be, you know, S-Class Plus or something like this. Most likely what I'm going to assume is there will be an infection resist come out eventually, but this character definitely does top it. Bit too powerful in my mind, does not keep to the sort of competitive balance that you'd hope would be in a game like this when they promote World Champions as being a competitive battleground. It's uncompetitive, but the timing obviously is the worst it could be. It just promotes people not to get any characters until a couple of weeks before Warrior Champions in these sort of situations, because the most powerful characters are going to come out just before Warrior Champions. That's apparently the way it's going to be. There's not much we can do about it. This character is obviously going to be a dominant force in Warrior Champions. Expect to see probably people with 2 on defense teams. I won't be surprised, because, you know, that active will go off turn 1. 4 of your characters will be infected on an attack team or a defense team. It doesn't really matter. Massive resist. There are ways through this, of course. You can try and bleed him down, but you can resist bleed, of course. But pure damage is pretty much the only way you can go. You have to just absolutely destroy him with pure damage and just hope that, I don't know, you can take him out and decap him, hopefully. That's pretty much the only hope you've got. He's going to have like 12k on his defensive stats as well, behind the right leaders, with the right mods. He's already got a defensive weapon. He's already getting a 30% boost with that weapon on top of his however many, 5.3k defense stat. So obviously this character is mental, and I'm not really going to look forward to coming up against this guy at all. Because he's just a one-man show, pretty much. He's 3 characters combined into one. But hey, that's the way it is. That's what we've always had to deal with. But at least we've got Glenn. I think Glenn will be able to counter this guy, right? As always, guys, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.